All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started here. How's that sound?
Let's do it. Roll
Okay.
it. Roll with it.
All right. Well, everybody, welcome to the 5 Proven Principles of Elite Leadership. We are pleased, Margie Aliprandi and myself, I'm Sean Smith, are pleased to be doing this webinar with you today. This is something that is a really long time coming. Margie and I have been wanting to put our hands together and really lead a charge in the direct sales and network marketing arena, specifically in the leadership. And here we are, Margie.
Yeah, we want to welcome you, and we know that that there are a lot of other things you could be doing tonight and many distractions that pull at your attention, particularly this time of year. And it means a lot to us that you are here. And it says a lot about you that you're here, that that you're putting your business first, that you're saying yes to your dreams. All of those great things tell us a lot about who you are. So welcome, and let us tell you a little bit about what this webinar is designed to review with you and what it will do for you. So during the little bit of time that we have together, we're going to be talking with you about the most common and costly leadership mistakes that people make. Any comments on that one, Sean?
Yeah, the costly part. I mean, so many people make huge mistakes that create big holes in their business. And if nothing else out of this webinar, you learn to avoid some of those, then you'll be great. The second thing is we're going to talk about the true secrets of recruiting and motivation, especially from somebody like Margie, who's been in the business for so many years and recruited so many people. She really, truly understands, what works when it comes to recruiting and motivation.
Well, and bottom line is that recruiting is the lifeblood of your business. And so if you really could make recruiting a part of your everyday life so that it was natural and you did it with ease and joy instead of viewing it with drudgery, I mean, would that be something that would be valuable to you? And then, of course, motivation, like where does that consistent drive, that clarity that just drives you from within, where does that come from? And the next one, the single most powerful element of leadership.
That's going to be fun when we just boil it down and talk about what's the one thing you could take away and totally change the game in your business. We'll also talk about, those of you that know me, I like to be a little controversial every now and then. And we've got to talk about success and failure, because I really, truly believe that most people need to have some huge mind shifts. Otherwise, they'll never succeed. So we'll get into that.
And bottom line, if you're misinterpreting what the meaning of success is, what the meaning of failure is, if failure is not even really a word I like the word feedback, you're getting feedback, but if you're misinterpreting those words in any way, you could be causing yourself a lot of unnecessary pain and frustration. And so finally, all of this is going to culminate in how you can truly 10 times your influence with your existing team, attract team members where you have impact and influence in that regard as well. So you're in the right place if you're feeling stuff bubbling up, like you're feeling like you're coming face to face with some of your internal challenges, your fears and your doubts, and maybe even some limiting beliefs that are affecting your life and your business. And please realize that all of that means that you're probably on the brink of greatness. If you're feeling some of those emotions, you're in exactly the right place, and it just means that you're human.
Yeah, I think a lot of people expect themselves to not have all those fears and all that stuff come up, and I just haven't met that person yet. You're also in the right place. This is where I was, Margie. I'm sure at some point you were there too, where you just know there's something deep down inside of you that is raging to get out, something that has to be unleashed. There's more freedom to experience. There's more joy. There's more happiness. There's more abundance. And if you just feel like there's a caged, animal that just needs to get out as soon as the gates are open. I mean, I can remember so well having that feeling. So if you feel stuck like that, that's a great sign. You're in a good place. It means you're about to break through something big.
And if there's a part of you that is just longing to be a more powerful, persuasive, a leader and you're willing to take action around that, moving towards your dreams instead of just wishing for your dreams, like you're really willing to move to action and make a whatever it takes decision, then you are absolutely in the right place. And so our question for you tonight is, are you interested or are you committed? Are you just tipping your toe in the water and seeing, you know, maybe I'll give this thing a try for a little while, or are you at that point where it's just time and you know it, and you are going to call forth the best that's in you? If you're there, man, you're in the right place, and we are so here for you.
That's great. I have a shirt on right now, and it says, "It's time." That's exactly what my shirt says. So the flip side of that is you're in the wrong place if you're just looking for the magic bullet. I think too many people are just, you know, trying to win the lottery. If you're seeking this shortcut to success that just doesn't exist as far as I've ever seen, I don't think Margie's ever seen that shortcut either. And like, you know, Margie was just alluding to, if you're not willing to go for it, then it doesn't matter how much you learn and intellectually collect in your brain, you've got to implement it.
So let us tell you a little bit about how this is going to work for the next 60 to 75 minutes. We're going to be sharing with you some of our thoughts and ideas about elite leadership and answering some of the questions that we know you have, some of the questions you've already typed in. And we're going to invite you to continue to type in questions into your box in the control panel as you think of them, or write them down. And as you're absorbing this information, we're going to encourage you in your note-taking not to try to record everything that's on the slides. Just be with this information and listen and write down the things that are inspiring you. Write down the ideas that our information is evoking, that is being evoked inside of you, and put great big stars by the action items when you are making a decision of an action that you're going to take. Then toward the end of the presentation tonight, we're going to share with you a way that you can play at a much higher level. And if you want to work with us more personally, we're doing something that has never been done before, and so we're excited to share that with you toward the conclusion of the presentation.
Yes, and definitely stick around all the way to the end. We'll show you how to get a recording of all of this. And that just further goes to what Margie was saying. You don't have to just try to capture all of the information. You'll be able to have access to it later. We just want to inspire you here. So here's what we invite you to do. We invite you to suspend all of your disbelief. You know, a lot of times people come to any kind of presentation, they come to a webinar like this, and they let all of the negativity sort of get in the way. You know, I don't want you to be looking at any of this with lenses of disbelief. I want you to be looking through the lenses of possibility. So we want you to suspend any disbelief about yourself or about your current reality, your current circumstances. Just hold the space that anything can change if you have the right mindset. We also want you to suspend any disbelief about the limitations of your previous experiences. Just because something has happened to you in the past doesn't mean it has to continue happening to you in the present and in the future. So if you show up with a vision of possibility, that's the best way to take in this information. Is there anything you want to throw on top of that, Margie?
Yes, yeah, I just want to say that if you would approach this with a completely open slate, and when the yeah buts come up, or when the, well, but I can't, and oh yeah, that's a great idea, but I tried that before, when those kinds of thoughts come up, will you just please suspend them and recognize that the past really is ancient history, that you can make new decisions today, that you can take new actions today, and you can create an entirely new reality tomorrow. And so if you'll just hold with that limitlessness and let those limitless thoughts come in without butting them, then I think you'll by far put yourself in a position to receive so much from what we've got for you this evening. And so really, here's what's possible. It's absolutely possible to become a more powerful, purposeful, persuasive leader, one that can inspire and influence your team into massive action and into elite success. And as Sean mentioned, this change, it doesn't need to take forever because it's tied to a mindset. And so if instead of focusing on the periphery and trying to pick up one more new skill or one more new idea of how you can say this or how you can language this or how you can close more effectively, if you will sit with the idea that a mindset shift can shift everything, and that you can begin to experience results that are unlike anything you've had before, and it can start with a mindset. Therefore it can happen relatively quickly, because once you make those simple, significant mind shifts, the success can happen very, very, very fast.
Yeah, as long as you act on it, for sure. And I think a lot of people are wanting it to happen in reverse order. You know, a lot of people want their circumstances to change, and then they'll change their internal game and their mindset. But it's the exact opposite order, and that's what it's really about anyway. And all that other stuff, you know, what we're really after is it's secondary. It's you know, a byproduct of all that. So before we even get into a lot of the information, we just want to share a couple of stories of some of the people that have made some of these shifts. Here's
let me read these.
Oh yeah,
these
okay,
are
go ahead,
from, these are from some of your clients. So know that that Sean is better than anyone I know about busting through disempowering beliefs, and he helps people to get results very quickly. So let me just read this. The first month I met Sean, my production was 2,000. Just 3 months later, I brought in over 80 new team members and over $28,000 in production in a single month. Plus, my relationship with my husband and children have been incredibly better as I found balance in my life. Isn't that interesting? Oh, yeah, and now I'm in my Cadillac. Okay, so I guess we know. Anyway, so wonderful comments here about the change happening between my ears and my team growing from 39 to 2,000, and you know, being the king of sales and back into Cadillac, and increased yearly retail, $3,000, paid off 8 credit cards. Guys, these are really significant changes that can happen. And if they sound like maybe they're too good to be true, or maybe they happen to other people but not you, just pause for a second and realize that at some point each one of these people that are sharing their testimonials with you just simply made a decision that now was their time, and they started moving into new action with new mindset, and everything changed for them.
Yeah, and you know, we're not sharing these testimonials to try to impress you or anything like that. It's to pump our ego. It really is just to look at what's possible when this work is done. We've got one here that says, since following Margie Alaprandi's materials, my team and I have experienced significant growth within a few short months. I personally doubled my income in under 90 days. You know, a lot of people poo-poo the possibilities, and that's what we're wanting you to really have an open mind, you know, tonight, and really going forward with your business and life in general, is to have that possibility mindset. Now, that's what's possible, but let's get real here for a second, and let's talk about some of the problems.
Let's talk about what some of the problems are. So some of the challenges are that let's just speak the truth. The vast majority of people in network marketing and direct sales do not have the businesses that they've hoped for or planned on or that they dream about, and it's just a fact. It is the truth. And most of them are chasing the wrong problems. They're looking, I believe, at the periphery and thinking, oh, if I could just have the right words, if I could just be more confident. But at the bottom of all of it, where does the confidence come from? Where does that belief come from? And so focusing on some of these things like, well, if I was just better at handling objections, or I just need to really manage my time better, and if I could get the right scripts, and I just want to get the language right, and those things, they are all important. Don't get me wrong. They're an important piece. But what really matters is what's happening at the core. What are the driving beliefs? What is the strength of the vision? And when those things are in place, then frankly the other things come naturally. Because let's just say that you're all of you who are on the call tonight you're with great companies, and you've got great tools, and for the most part you've got good mentorship in your upline mentorship or sideline mentorship, people that can teach you these skills. And still, let's just speak the truth, there's something that's stopping you from being the best you can be in network marketing or direct sales. And so that's what we're going to get to the bottom of here.
Yeah, there's so many people that are doing everything you're saying, searching for the wrong things, and they're getting frustrated and overwhelmed, and it's crushing their self-esteem, more stress, and so forth, obviously financial restrictions. And it certainly doesn't have to be this way. And what Margie and I totally believe 100% is that the biggest missing piece in the entire industry of direct sales and network marketing is truly elite leadership. It's the ability to lead and coach people to think and to believe more in themselves. And obviously in this industry, the only way for you to build as big a business as you want to is to bring a lot of people with you. So that's our passion. That's what we're going to talk about a lot tonight. We'll really get into, just what elite leadership is. And elite is not about being better than anybody else. Elite is just being the best version of yourself. So I'm hoping that each and every one of you want to see your own elite version in leadership as a family member, as a brother, sister. I mean, in every area of your life, I think you should be striving for reaching that elite status, right? So now leadership is talked about a lot in direct sales, and we've talked, to so many people and asked them, what is it that you feel like you're missing, or what is it that, you feel like you just want in your business? Do you want to start with these, Margie?
Yeah, sure. So what leaders want, basically we're pretty much the same, and our deep dreams and vision and desires, we aligned so much more with each other to such a great degree, way more than we are different. So you just want to be able to control your emotions. You want to be able to recruit more people into your business. And you want to get and keep a team of members that are motivated to work. See, you want to attract those like-minded people that get it. And you want to consistently feel that motivation, that clarity, and that drive from within. Are we right?
Yeah, totally. And a lot of people obviously are still dealing with, the personal stuff. Like, I just got to keep myself motivated to work, and, all these things feed off of each other. Another thing that people want is the clarity and confidence of what to do and what to say. So we talked a little bit about how a lot of people are focusing on, recruiting scripts and so forth, and I want to be really clear. I'm not saying any of that stuff is unimportant. It's all important, but we've really got to take a look at what's the most important. We got to put things in priority. So there is a necessity around having a certainty and clarity in yourself about what to say and what to do and how to hold yourself and so forth. And we want to teach you, how to get to that place of certainty. And ultimately, why are you in business if you don't want to have fun, right? People just want this business to be simple and easy and not super complicated and frustrating. And obviously, you're also in business to make some really good money, and you don't want all the stress and struggle and inconsistency that a lot of people unfortunately deal with, from one month to the next. That's not what this business was created for, and that's not the way it has to be.
So here's our message to you. You can do this. You got this. No matter what, you can become an elite leader, and you can 10 times your influence, but not by trying to swim upstream and against the power of your internal and external programming. When you're pulling and pushing and struggling, it's the whole wrong mindset. There is a part of you that knows exactly why you're here. There's a part of you that knows exactly what the next step is. And if we can unravel the inaccurate messages that you've built up around you and your ability to do this business, and you just let that pure light of you shine through, you'll find that really you can do this business. You can do it with ease and with a flow and a joy that will truly surprise you and will be extremely attractive to the people around you.
Yeah, I love that. And, so your choice is really to fight against all of that upstream programming like Margie was saying, or change the current. And when you change the current, everything is so much easier. You get the flow and everything that, we're all wanting. So before we get too much deeper into the content, let's just tell you a little bit about us. Many of you might know one of us, but let's at least, make sure that everybody understands who Margie is and who I am. So I'll go first, Margie. So a little bit about me. On your screen there, you see my family. I am the one in the top left, if you haven't figured that out yet. I am thoroughly fulfilled as a father and a husband. That's my first role, and I'm a speaker and a coach. Second, I've got this amazing family right there pictured, my wife Sybil, my daughter McKenna, and my son Exie. I just can't look at those guys without, getting a lump in my throat and smiling. But my journey in personal development really started when I was 13 years old. In 1986, I was hit by a car doing 50 miles an hour when I was riding my bike. And by the details of the accident, there's no reason I should have survived. And so when you're on death's doorstep like that, and you get the blessing, the opportunity to come back off and basically get a second chance of life, things change. And so for me, my perspective changed on everything. I started looking at, what do I really want to do with my life? And I started paying attention to the people that have the things that I want and the people that have the things that I don't want. Started taking a look at my friends, my parents. I just took a look at my entire life, and I realized that no matter where we are, we're never promised our next breath. In that moment, in that morning, I was high on life, and it could have all been taken away. And so I've lived the remainder, ever since that time, I've lived this one-shot mentality, and I believe if we all only have one shot, we don't know when our last breath is going to be, then we got to give it everything we possibly can. We got to be willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to enjoy this life, right? But even though I had made that promise to myself to never settle, I still struggled for the better part of 20 years. Until 2005, I was in a personal development seminar, and I had this massive breakthrough that started with a huge conflict internally. I started crying. I couldn't even talk. We were supposed to do this goals exercise. And this life coach brought me outside, and he helped me identify where the biggest block was for me. And for me, it was all this limiting belief that I wasn't good enough and nobody cared about me and they didn't want to hear what I had to say and all this kind of stuff. It was running and controlling my life and restricting so much. It was really under the surface. I didn't, have a lot of awareness around it until this breakthrough happened. And after this happened, I emailed that guy back a little bit later, and I said, man, I don't know what you did to me. I don't care if it's illegal. Like, whatever that was, you need to tell me what it is, because that was fantastic. And I just want to share, whatever I can with as many people to have that kind of experience. And so in 2006, I started my speaking and training career, and ever since that time, I've been heavily involved with network marketers and direct sellers, and just helping people get rid of some of those limiting beliefs in their life. So that's me.
Yes, and I've just got to chime in a little bit here. I first met Sean, I don't know, maybe it's been three or 4 years ago now, and the way that we met was through Jack Canfield, actually. He wanted to bring the two of us together to work in his inner circle of his community and to create a network marketing sort of overarching training for the people in his community. And so he connected us, and interestingly, we became very, very fast friends. And within a handful of months, Sean's father became very ill, and ultimately passed away while we were in close conversation with each other. And I think that you really get to know people when the biggest challenges come into their lives. And as I watched him handle this extremely challenging time, and I watched how he found the most expansive way that he could view all of this, who he was. That's what I was really observing. I was observing who he was and how he was being with his family, and my heart bonded to this man like no other. My respect is so great for him. And as I've seen the number of lives that he has changed, and I've seen how he cuts to the chase and he tells the truth, and he does it with love and with clarity. And because of that, he can help people see things, and he can help them see them quickly. He just has a gift. He inspires me. I love working with him. So you're
the best.
We're in huge joy doing this together. So a little bit about my story. I began my network marketing career about 25 years ago. My situation at the time is that I was a single mom with 3 little kids, and I was wondering how I was going to make my house payment, and begrudgingly, kind of, considering that I would probably have to go back to teaching junior high school music to be able to have consistent income and cover the bills. But I didn't want to leave my kids at home. I really did not want to miss their growing up years. But I didn't know what my alternatives were, and so I signed a teaching contract, and Destiny had a different plan. About 3 weeks before the school year would have began, I came across my opportunity, and something happened inside of me. I'd never been drawn to network marketing before. I grew up in Utah. I know network marketing inside out, but right time, right product. Like, I knew I could talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime about this product, and I canceled that teaching contract. I jumped in with both feet, 3 little kids, right? How many times have you heard someone you know use their children as an excuse why they can't do their business? I got kids, I can't do it. How many times have you heard them say, I've got no experience, I've got no money? I mean, I had all of those. Some people would say 3 strikes against me. And even still, something triggered inside of me. And in that moment, I made a whatever it takes decision. And that manifested in some interesting ways. In the early days, if I had team members in California who would invite me to come in and do a meeting, I literally would jump in my Subaru wagon. I would drive from Utah to California. I could not possibly afford to fly, and what a lot of people at the time didn't know is that I couldn't afford to stay in a hotel either. And so I would find well-lit hotel parking lots, and I would sleep in my car in the parking lot. I would find myself a gas station lavatory the next morning, and I would plug in my electric curlers and put on my makeup and go off to these meetings and invite people to join me because we were going to get rich. We were going to become millionaires. And not once during that time did I feel disenfranchised. Not once did it weigh heavily on my self-esteem. Not once did I have a victim mentality. I just did it because it had to be done. It was what I needed to do. And when you make that whatever it takes decision, man, everything gets easier because there will be obstacles. There are going to be times when you doubt yourself. There are going to be times when the rejection does get to you, no matter how resilient you think you are. There are going to be those times. But if you've made that whatever it takes decision, oh my gosh, it makes it so much easier to keep moving. The good news, in spite of all the challenges that I faced in some of those early days, the good news is that within 1 year I was making more money in a month than I would have made in an entire year teaching school. And I made my first $1 million by the time I was 35. My team now is 250,000 people plus in 29 countries. And I'm living a lifestyle that is so beyond my wildest dreams. I couldn't have envisioned it in the beginning. I was wanting to save my home. That was as big as my vision was. And so the freedom and the lifestyle, with all of those things, you know, the travel and being able to give my kids a better life because they were my why. That wasn't my reason that just kept me charging through obstacles. With all of that, the thing that I appreciate the most is the personal development. I really appreciate who I've been able to help other people become, the way I've been able to see other people grow into stronger, clearer, abundant people and then the personal development that I've experienced myself, I really believe that the best thing that happens to us in network marketing is who we become. And now I enjoy amazing relationships with my grown children. At the time, they were 5, 4, and 2 years of age. They're now 31, 30, 28, and 21. And this picture on this slide is of us together a couple of years ago. We went to Australia, Fiji, and New Zealand. I was able to take them as my grown kids. I never could have had this lifestyle as a school teacher. I never could have given them the life and the lessons that I gave them, because I went for my dream. I gave them permission to go for their dreams too.
Oh, I love that part. So cool to see your kids and hear their take on growing up and the lessons that you've taught them, and what they're doing now because of it. And like you said, a lot of people do use their kids as a reason why not. And it's been really neat to get to know your family and see the way you've empowered them. And I mean, holy cow, this lady Margie, I mean, like, we just need to breathe this in a little bit. 250,000 people from 29 countries, insane. And she's literally an icon in this industry. I mean, she's done things that nobody's ever done. She reached a position in her company that at the time nobody had gotten, literally nobody, first person in the world. And still to this day, she's the only one in North America that has ever reached this crown diamond position within her company. And she's been featured in magazines and books and articles and movies. I mean, just really, truly one of the top, to say that Margie is the top leader or income earner in this industry, like, that doesn't even, do it justice. And more than just the number of people on her team, here's the statistic that just blows me away, and she doesn't like to brag about it, but Margie has created over 1,000 millionaires in her journey through this network marketing industry. And that's just mind-blowing to see the kind of influence and impact that she has had. But beyond all of those accolades and, the sexy, shiny, I want to say statistics, I mean, you've really got like a stat sheet that's so impressive. But beyond all of those tangible successes, what I love about Margie is just she's real and she's authentic. And a lot of people that reach levels of success either turn their back on people or they try to be somebody different. And I can tell, Margie is just so real and so authentic. And it's just who she is at the core. And I've had such an amazing time getting to know this woman and what she's able to teach other people. And many of you know, I've never personally, any of you that are in my community, I've never partnered up with anybody really doing anything, like this until Margie and I were put together a few years ago. And we just share so many values and beliefs. Yeah, thanks, Jack.
Thank you, Jack. So we know that you've got big dreams residing in you, and we know that as you sit here, as you listen, that you feel called to a bigger game, to make a bigger difference. And the reason that we're here today is because we know that you're serious about your own success, and not just your own success, but that you're built in such a way that you want to help other people, you want to help them have the time freedom, the options that come from financial freedom, getting off the survival level. We know that you want that for yourself. We know that you want that for others, and we're going to help you. Our purpose is to hold a space big enough for you so that you can take everything you've got and you can bet it all on you. All on you. And you can let go of the inner game struggles and obstacles that have no other place than to make your life and your business more difficult. When you release some of the negative thought patterns that have been hovering over you, and you become aware of them, and you choose stronger, more empowering thoughts, baby, watch out, because you do have what it takes. You do have what it takes. And as you listen tonight, know this, that you are enough. You are enough. You have what it takes. You know what to do, and you do it. And you are not too early. You are not too late. You are not too young. You are not too old. You are right where you have been, right where you need to be, and everything to this point in your life has prepared you to step into your greatness in this moment.
Love it. Love it. So we're on a mission. We're on a mission of freedom and empowerment, and this is what just lights us up, and I know you can tell. So let's get into some of these mistakes, Margie.
Let's talk about these.
Yeah, the 3 most common and costly leadership mistakes. Go ahead and talk about the first one.
Right,
You made me giggle when you talked about it.
So mistake number 1 is premature retirement. So how many of you have had this experience, either with yourself or somebody on your team, that they enroll three or four people and they think that, this is a gravy train for them and now they're done for good. And so they start managing and they start hovering over these people and they start putting expectations on these people, and all of a sudden it starts to feel heavy, and then they don't know if they're being too pushy, and so they back off. But they're in retirement because they now have a team, and so they need to manage their team, and they need to advise their team, and they need to not be in the trenches anymore because they need to help their team. So the best solution here is just simply stay in the trenches. I mean, seriously, doesn't it send kind of a bad message that what this business is all about is very quickly, or as quickly as possible, moving to a place where we no longer have to do it anymore? I mean, really, what kind of message is that? We need to find a way to truly enjoy the journey and recognize that it's all about planting seeds. You can't possibly expect to plant 2 or 3 seeds and expect that it's going to give you a giant harvest. That does not account for attrition. I mean, there are going to be people who get engaged and love what's happening, and you're going to think that they're going to be with you forever and that they're going to, you start seeing zeros on your check because of them in your business. And you know what? They might not be with you in 6 months. You just never know what's going to happen. And so you just need to stay in the trenches, both because you send the right message and because how can you mentor someone when you're not setting the example of what they should be doing? And so the costly mistake number 1, premature retirement, the solution, stay in the trenches and keep planting seeds. Trust the law of the harvest. What's number 2, Sean? I love this.
Don't be a professional babysitter. Most people create an adult daycare center, right, where you just create dependence. In order for you to have the freedom and the leverage that's available in this business, you've got to create independence. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see is people, it's like helicopter moms, right? We've got that term in parenting, where the moms just hover over their kids no matter what they do, and they don't let them grow and become their own person. And that happens in network marketing and direct sales as well. You can't just hover over everybody and then expect them to grow on their own. The example that I love, Margie, I talk about this from a parenting perspective, but it applies to all leadership. A lot of times parents will watch their child put a puzzle together, and when the child comes to a puzzle piece they can't figure out, the tension and the anxiety gets to the parents so much that most parents will just reach over, take the puzzle piece, and put it where it belongs, instead of allowing the child to figure it out. And every time we do that, we're robbing this child of having the confidence that they can do it. And when you've ever seen a child really struggle with that puzzle piece and finally get it, the look that's on their face is priceless. And that same concept applies to leadership as well. So if you don't allow people to be independent from the beginning, you will basically handicap their growth and their evolution, and then you'll get what you don't want, which is a bunch of people that you've got to, babysit and continually motivate. And that's not easy. I think especially for women, it's not easy, whether it's the motherly instinct kicks in or you just want to take care of people. It's not easy to see people struggle, and that's not what we're saying is, you just turn your back and don't help anybody. But sometimes helping them is actually enabling them, and it's not going to lead to what you ultimately want, which is a group of independent people that are internally motivated and can do things on their own.
Yeah, I mean, the truth be told, Sean, eventually you want to become obsolete. Really, you want your people to know that you're there to love, care, and support, but that they're so independent and they're tool and system driven so that it's not all dependent on you, because first of all, that can't be duplicated anyway. And don't you find also that number one and number two, the premature retirement and the professional babysitter, they kind of tie together, because if you are building your business consistently and bringing enough of the right people in, you won't have time to give your time to the wrong people, because there will be the ones that are so busy and need you, and they're growing so quickly, they're demanding your time, and you're so delighted to give it to them. And it also will help you become more resilient if you are constantly staying in the trenches, because yes, something may be disappointed. Yes, there might be people saying no to you today, but there's always something you're hopeful about. There are always more possibilities on the horizon, and you won't get in this trap of professional babysitting adult daycare. I love it. So it's the third most common and costly leadership mistake is thinking that you need to be somebody that you're not. You know, when it comes to leadership, I think sometimes people sabotage their success. Like, they're actually relieved sometimes if they get a no. Now, hang with me here. I know that sounds crazy, but they're actually a little relieved if they get a no, because if somebody says yes, then what do they do with them? Then they have to lead. And this idea stops people, because we get this image in our head about what we think leadership looks like or how it should look. And so we think, well, that's not me. I couldn't be that. And the solution here is that nothing could be further from the truth right now. Without learning one more thing, without one more sharpened skill, you have and are everything that you need to be to lead. And we're going to show you how that looks with the slides to come. But for starters, we want to talk to you about what it isn't, what elite leadership isn't. It's not about being buttoned up and professional looking. It's far more about attitude than external experience. And it's not about constantly chasing and bribing people to work and badgering them to do more and perform more with self-interest. And it's not walking around with a feeling of desperation because you have to hit that next rank, and if so-and-so doesn't do something, then you're not going to hit it. You know, this is where, when you find yourself in that, and let's put our hands up. I mean, we've all got to say there's been a time when we're in that spot. But this is a time when you pause and you remind yourself who you are. You remind yourself who you're looking for. You're looking for like-minded people. You're looking for the aspiring ones that have big ideas, that want to make a difference in the world. You're not desperate. You're the one with the gift. You're only looking for those who are looking for you. And so, you know, just remind yourself of the big reason why you're doing this.
Yeah, I love that. Going back to, this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier, the third piece here that leadership is not, is disempowering others always by doing for them. You know, you want to set people up to encourage them, and so that they can become independent and so forth, instead of enabling them. And that's pretty much what I was referring to before. Elite leadership is also not this emotional roller coaster, although that is the experience for a lot of people that are making some of these mistakes. But it should not be, you know, your life happiness should not be tied to whether people come into meetings or not. It should not be tied to results. And I know that's not easy to just flick the switch, and we're not saying to not care about your results, but your value as a person and your happiness in your life should not be tied to other people's decisions. That emotional attachment is so unhealthy, and it's what causes so much of the frustration and you know, the just the huge highs and the low lows that really block people emotionally from staying consistent. You know, it creates so much of the pain that people really feel.
And so the solution on that one, don't you think, is the high intention. I mean,
low
it's
attachment.
right, and low attachment. It's right to care. It's right to want it. That desire is a powerful creative force inside of you. But low attachment, because you don't know where it's going to come from. You don't know where the reaping season will occur from. You just keep planting. That's your job. I love what you said about just staying more even. Don't shoot, to the moon when someone says yes, and don't go to the dumps when somebody says no. Just hold it all very lightly and observe what's happening. And know what you know what you know, that you are a person of purpose and you are going to keep taking the right actions. And it's coming to you because you will not quit. And when you know that, it just kind of evens things out. So also, elite leadership is not elevating yourself above people. It is not arrogance. It is not a contrived sort of domineering style. In fact, it is humility. It is being ultimately teachable. It is keeping an open heart. It's not elevating yourself. It is linking arms with people and being with them. And it also is not telling people what to do, that you're telling people to do things that you're not doing. It is about leading by example. And, I'm sure you have people ask you all the time, what do I do to inspire my team? Well, bottom line, the only thing you can
show them.
Is show them. Show them how excellence looks. Now that's inspiring. When they can see excellence in action, that is inspiring. And when you're holding a big vision of what's possible for you and what's possible for them, man, that is hugely inspiring.
That's really cool. Show them what excellence looks like. I love that, the essence of that. So here's another thing that I see, unfortunately, a lot, and it's something that, is just a temptation a lot of people fall prey to. But when you have this emotional attachment or your value is wrapped up in your results, then it's going to be very difficult to resist the temptation to bend the rules, break the rules, buy your way into certain positions. And I've personally, I can't say that that's, there hasn't been anybody in the history of the industry that, didn't kind of buy their way a month or two and then made it happen. But that is not the way it usually happens. If you're in a situation where you need to fudge the numbers and you need to, buy your way into something, that's a sign of something not being right in your business. That's a sign of you not having the foundation that you need to be at the level that you're at. And a lot of times just, pretending that you're there and getting yourself there is the worst thing you can do sometimes, because that adds more pressure. And if your business wasn't foundationally strong enough to get you to a certain level, it's certainly not going to be strong enough to keep you at that level. So don't fall into that trap that this game is just about crossing a line. And once you cross that line, everything's going to be, hunky-dory. You've got to create this foundational success. You've got to look long-term, not just short-term. How can I cut corners? What's the quickest way into this position? That's just one of the deadliest mistakes that I see all the time. And a piece of that, too, is this last one here, pretending to be something that you're not. Sometimes it's pretending to be a certain position that your business didn't really truly create, or pretending to be somebody that you're not. Just anything that involves pretending is just usually not a good thing. And it's the exact opposite of being true to yourself and standing in your integrity. And my feeling is, even if you were to climb the ladder of success, but you did it by becoming or trying to become somebody that you're not, that's failure, in my opinion. It's not being true to yourself, and that's not what this game is all about. So if we wrap all of those together, Margie, the single most important element of elite leadership, we've alluded to it, is what? You want to talk about this?
Authenticity. Yes. This is one of those pivotal attitudes that when you make this shift in your mind, everything will shift for you in your business experience. When you realize that you, right now, as you are, knowing what you know, with your story, you've got a story of what brought you to your company, why you're here, why you picked it, why you put your hand up, what about it is meaningful to you. And in that beautiful, simple story is everything that you need to build your business. When you really get that what people crave is authenticity, And that in this increasingly digitalized world, what they want is human touch. You know, there used to be that statement, I forget what deodorant commercial it was, but it said something like, never let them see you sweat. And I think I would say that today the 180 is the opposite. People are so in tune with falseness. They have a real high, people have a real high BS meter. Like they can pick it up further away than ever before. And they love transparency. They love realness. They love you showing up just as you, warts and all, and it's good enough. And they love it. They respond to that. When you are clear about your vision and your purpose and you share that, and when you realize that all you really need to do is show up as you and love and care about people and ask them questions until you discover if there's a need that you can help fill or if there's a problem that you can help solve, everything shifts because the attention is no longer on you. It doesn't, you're not obsessed with, am I sounding right? Will I do okay? Are they going to say yes? How am I looking? How do I sound smart enough? You know, you're not, your focus is no longer on you. All of a sudden that mind shift of authentic is what I am enough, I love and care about people, I've got something of value, I am not attached to whether they say yes or no, but I'm going to show up and share it and find out if I can help them. When you're in that mindset, it becomes so easy. Everything shifts. You're not there to convince. You're not there to persuade and twist their arm and be slick and smooth. You're there to share and then let the chips fall where they may and just show up with love. I mean, it changes everything, don't you think, Sean?
Of course, and that's one of the things that I love so much about you is that you've got all this success, and you know, and I'm not trying to say anything bad about anybody or paint, you know, everybody else with the same brush, but I think what happens a lot of times is that people think, and sometimes it's because this is what's being taught, but other times, you know, it's not being taught, but this is just what people pick up. But they pick up the exact opposite of everything that you're saying. They pick up that in order to, you know, to have more in my business, in order to be wealthy and abundant, I'm not good enough as I am. I've got to be more of this, more of a salesperson, more of a public speaker, more of a talker, more of a recruiter, more of anything. And your message is so completely opposite of that, and that's why I've always been attracted to your energy and what you teach and who you are, because this message is empowering. You know, when people believe that they have to be somebody different than who they are now, that's a disempowering message. I mean, that is basically saying that you're not enough now, so you have to be something different in order to have more. And your heart is just completely opposite of that. So I love to hear you talk about authenticity as the core element of success. I mean, I think if most people heard about somebody who has 250,000 people on their team and they're going to get this, you know, world-changing answer of what the secret of their success is, one of the last things that most people, I believe, would be prepared to hear is, yeah, just be yourself. You know, I think most people are thinking, well, you know, I have to do this, and what do I have to say, and what do I have to wear, and where do I have to go, and all these, you know, these surface level questions that people have, and the reality is it's inside, you know. And I'm gonna this little picture I love on the screen now. Like, if that's who you are, then be that. If you're this zebra with red and white and blue stripes, be that. And too many people are trying to fit in to a crowd, and the reality is the world does not need another version of anybody else that's already in it. The world needs the most fully expressed version of you. And that's what makes you stand out. That's what makes you different. One of the core elements of leadership is distinction. So when you're different and you're real, and you show up with all your warts, like Margie was saying, people can't turn away. People have to pay attention because this world is craving authenticity so much. And it's just interesting and sad, I think, that the thing that most people are trying to protect against, you know, that most people are trying to hide who they really are, is the very thing that they need to let out to be successful. So this is one of the huge mind shifts that we've got to make and understand that vulnerability and authenticity and transparency, that's what makes the greatest leaders great. It's not about having this, slick personality and being covered up, yet that's what most people are doing. So if you take nothing else out of this call, I think that is the core message, that you are equipped with everything you need to be successful and to motivate people. And maybe that's a good transition to this next piece, unless you had anything else to say on
yeah, let me just add a couple more things. I always get so inspired by you when I listen to you. New ideas pop up, and I think that's one of the fun things about working together, because we just leapfrog each other to new ideas. While you were speaking, I thought, how tedious and exhausting it is to believe we need to be inauthentic, or to be adopting some sort of inauthentic way of being. And we want to build sustainable business. It's so depleting when we're being inauthentic, as opposed to when we're coming from an authentic place. There really is ease, and it's regenerating. The business does not become depleting and exhausting. It's something that you can regenerate because it's coming from the right place. And so, yeah, I thank you. Really great comments. And now let's talk a little bit about the secrets of recruiting and motivation.
Yes. Margie, with all these people that you've recruited and motivated, what are the secrets? I think that's what everybody wants. We have secrets in caps, because I think that's what people are always after, this elusive, the dodo bird that really doesn't exist. But I think from your perspective, that's what you give that's so powerful for people, is you've been there, you've done that, you've climbed the mountain that most people are wanting to climb. And so it's so valuable to hear from you. What is it? Like, what's the thing that has caused you success?
And we know that if we don't recruit, if we don't bring people into our business, then we're not creating the leverage. Like, if we don't recruit and build teams, first of all, we're keeping a gift and something precious to ourselves that deserves to be shared, number one, and we'll never create what is the promise of this business. And so, yeah, the secrets of recruiting, I can think of times when I would sit in a convention and I would watch people that were excelling around me, and I would think, what are they doing? What are they doing that's different than me? I was always focused on, well, they must have a better script, or they must be saying, how do they do their three-way calls? I mean, what are they doing? What are they doing? And what I always realized as I got to dig in a little deeper, and I'm sure that many of you on the line have had the same experience, that there isn't a secret. There isn't a secret. They're just moving forward. They're in action. And in fact, sometimes they're willing to move into action imperfectly. They're willing to do it poorly until they learn how to do it well. And in fact, if you could see what they're doing, you might say, oh, that's not that great. And so really, the secret, if there's a secret, is that there's not a secret. You just need to you just need to keep doing it. I'm such a believer also in massive action. I believe from my experience that a short sprint of full-out activity where you're talking to people all of the time and you're following up, and it's just this huge burst of business attention, that by doing that you give yourself such a gift. First of all, you'll be duplicated. People that are watching you are going to see what you're doing, and they'll recognize that there's a degree of urgency and that they should move quickly and talk to a lot of people also. Plus, you'll create a story faster, and you'll get better faster. You'll make more mistakes quicker and learn, and you'll get better, and you'll just increase your ratios. And you create this magical thing that we call momentum. And when you create this personal momentum around you, people feel it. They know that you are up to big things. And it's not about talking fast only or walking quickly and creating a feeling of speed. It is just a drive from within, a clarity and urgency that you feel, that you're valuing every moment, and you are in action. And when you're in that place, oh my gosh, I'm still enjoying the benefits today, 26 years later, from massive action that I took in my first 1, 2, and 3 years of business, because I went for it full out. And so some of you may be thinking, well, I've been in my deal for 10 years and I've never achieved the success that I want. Well, the answer to that is ancient history, the same thing we established at the beginning of the call. Ancient history. Today is new. And you can make that decision today that it is your time and that you are going to do it. And you can begin a 90-day action plan, and you can start that now, but in in a really big way in January.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I've in 9 years of doing this, 8 years, I've only met one person who didn't have the results that they wanted, and they were actually taking actions that should lead to those results. Almost without fail, people are just simply not taking enough action. I mean, even if you take imperfect action, just more action is going to move the needle for all of us. And most of us are just waiting, to get it right before we get it going. So that's such a huge point. I'm glad you really brought that home. And one thing that I learned from Margie, and I love this, is to always tell the bigger story and always tell the better story. In a situation where you're talking to somebody about their business or their, the opportunity to get into business or where they are in their life or whatever, a lot of times people are going to tell you their victim story. They're going to tell you their why I can't do it story. And whoever's story has more heart to it, whoever's story is bigger, and whoever believes in the story more than the other person is usually going to win. That doesn't mean that, every single time you come with belief and tell these stories that everybody's going to follow you. But I think that's what Margie does better than anybody that I've ever been around. And if any of you've been around her, I'm sure you'll agree with me, is that you just can't not believe in yourself around her. You just can't not do that. You start talking about what you're not able to do, and she will crush that with her conviction in what's possible for a human being in general, but for you specifically. And she means it. I mean, you mean it with every ounce of your being. You're just not going to sit there and listen to somebody not believe in themselves. And that's one of the things that I think just blows me away every time I'm around you. And there's no doubt that you've swept people up who didn't believe in themselves, but they had to borrow your belief in them, and it's genuine. And I think a lot of people try to do that, but they just try to do that so that people will do something in return. It has to be real. It has to be genuine. And when you do that, I mean, you'll just overwhelm people with your own belief and keeping them focused on a bigger, better story and focusing forward as well as focusing inward. I think most people are focused on what's happened in the past, or they are focused on, externally what can they get, or that's where all their answers are. And I just firmly believe, and I know, Margie, you believe this too, that when you focus forward and you think about possibility, and you're always looking at the chapters that haven't been written yet, not all the ones that have already been, closed, that's where the inspiration comes from. And everything that we need is inside of us. It's not, it's not something that other people are going to, have to give to us. It's got to come from within. And this next point is a perfect, addition to that, because from a leadership perspective, it's not about putting things on people, right? So if we're telling you to not look for what you need in other people, then as a leader, you shouldn't be trying to put things on other people that they need either. And that's a huge mistake that I think a lot of people make. I'm sure you get this question all the time, Margie. I do constantly. How can I motivate other people? How can I motivate other people? I think most of us, or both of us, most of the time say, you can't. Stop it. Stop trying to motivate externally other people. But what you can do as a leader is tell the bigger story, focus forward, ask the better questions, and try to inspire them from within, draw it out of them. Everybody has everything they need to succeed inside of them. So as a leader, your job is to pull that out. Your job is not to give it to them as though they don't already have it. That's a misassumption that they need something from you. They don't. They have everything they need. They just need you to advocate for them sometimes and ask the questions that are going to draw out of them their resources. And one of the most critical things that a lot of people don't have the willingness to do is have a painful conversation, meaning be willing to ask people about their reality. Be willing to ask people what they're not able to do. Be willing to poke the pain a little bit. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that, but you have to understand that's what most human beings need. They need to take a look at their reality and say, this is not what I had planned for my life. This is not okay with me to be in this situation. Most human beings are not going to make a decision that's going to change their life without being provoked with some kind of irritation and some kind of pain. So the best leaders are willing to guide people into the internal conversations that are absolutely necessary for them to make life-changing decisions. Too many people want to play at the surface level, and they don't want to, create conflict, or they don't want people to not like them or whatever. But you're doing people a disservice if you let them wallow in this state of like unconscious settling. Like that's not okay. And so many people are walking around in this trance of disempowerment. And as a leader, you've got to be willing to snap them out of that, to shake them out of that. And sometimes that requires you to ask some pretty blunt questions that might cause pain for them. But I think you're doing a disservice if you're not willing to do that.
Yep.
I got a little fired up right there.
I know. It's great stuff. And leaders do have the ability to ask the difficult questions. If you're having an adult daycare and you want to coddle people, then you will just sidestep and not talk about the elephant in the living room. But if you really, truly care about people, you'll be willing to have these challenging conversations. Some of the sweetest experiences I've ever had are when people share their why with me, when they really get to the why, beneath the why, beneath the why, beneath the why, and they share that with tenderness and maybe a quiver in their voice and a tear in their eye. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that I am bonded to them in such a deep way that I now want it for them as much as they want it for themselves. And yet then you watch them move into action for a little while and then pull back, and you think, what happened to that why? Well, if you want to just keep things peaceful and not ruffle anyone's feathers and certainly don't make them feel uncomfortable ever, then you might not say anything. But your other choice is to call people forward with their own integrity and to say, I'm confused. Sandy, I'm confused. When we sat together 3 weeks ago and you shared to me that more than anything you wanted, whatever it is, like I felt that. And now I'm seeing your actions. I'm not attached to what you decide, but I'm confused. Where are you? So that I can support you and hold you up to what you really want. And so be willing to have those awkward and difficult conversations. Leaders do. And it's not in a badgering space. It comes from ultimate love and because you see the brilliance in them and you need clarity. How can you lead if you don't know what they want? So you need clarity and be willing to have those conversations. Now finally, the very last one here is that you need some patience. You never know. You never know. That's what I love about this business. But that the next person you talk to is going to have someone on their 4th level that's going to open a new country or that's going to bring you 100,000 people. You just never know. And guess what? You don't get to know. You just keep planting the seeds. And you've got some choices here. Obviously, people let us down. People don't do what they say they're going to do. Like, it would be really easy to get jaded on the whole human race in this business if you allowed yourself to do it because, like, really? Does anybody do what they say they're going to do? I mean, you really, really could get jaded, but you also have another choice. You can choose that that people are evil or bad or wrong or stupid or pathetic and, whatever. Or you can choose to believe that the time just isn't right for them, that they're distracted, they're busy. They would be interested if they fully understood, but they don't even have the time to find it out. I mean, you can choose to decide what it all means. because you're making it all up anyway. And so
Anyway.
one of the things that I just love, Jordan Adler shared this, and I think about it all the time. If I find myself disappointed because of an outcome, because somebody didn't do what I hoped they would, or what they said they would, or blah blah blah. And he talked about a mentor of his who every time he would say, but so-and-so, they just didn't come, or they said they wouldn't. Well, his upline mentor would say to him, people are people. People are people. People are people. And I swear, when I feel challenged with the outcome of something and I saw it so differently and I wanted it differently and I was feeling myself all invested and attached, I think of those words and I start to laugh. People are people. Let's just cut each other some slack and tell the bigger story, hold the bigger space, hold the space of love.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. And it all speaks to just this inner game, of having the right mindset and understanding that everything you're going through is not only common, but it's required, right? I think most people have this big list of things they're trying to avoid, rejection, failure, disappointment, all that stuff. But the road to success is paved with each one of those things that you're trying to avoid. So if you're really committed to that game of success and you're really committed to growing and your dreams are just bigger and they weigh more than all these doubts and fears, then you've just got to embrace all that stuff that most people allow to irritate them. So let's get into some controversy. How about that, Margie?
I know you love it. I know you love it.
So here's my thing about success. And any of you that know me, you understand, here's my philosophy on anything. Like, everything works if it works, and things don't work when they don't work. One of the things that really irritates me is when we get into these all or nothing, right or wrong, good or bad, kind of black or white debates, as though something is the only way to do anything. And in this, world with so many people and so many individuals, there's got to be variation. So what I've seen about just success in general, specifically in this industry of direct sales network marketing, is that the idea of success, there's these traditional ways to succeed that just keep getting perpetuated. This is the way to do things, and this is the way to set your goals, or these are the kinds of affirmations that you should do, or this is how to lead, or this is how to recruit. The bottom line is that doesn't work for most people, because if it did, then most people would be successful. And I'm not saying that to, have that jaded mentality. That's just the reality. And, I don't even think that's a problem. At a big chunked up level, here's the reality. Most people are not going to succeed in any opportunity that we're talking about. If you take a look at the school, the institution of college or high school, most people are not getting A's. That doesn't mean that you can't get an A, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't go to school, but most people are not getting A's. Marriage nowadays, especially out here in America, more than half the marriages end in divorce now. You take a look at the stock market, you take a look at just about any opportunity, the reality is most people are just not going to succeed, and that's not a problem. That's just the way it is. And like you were saying earlier, Margie, sometimes it's just not the right timing. Sometimes people have another vision. Sometimes they're just not ready to step into their greatness. If you have that, if you're holding on to that as a problem, then you're already set up to fail. But when you realize that's not a problem, that's just the way it is, people are people, right? However you get that in your head, then it'll be easier for you to play with the rules of the game. And this is just one of the rules of the game. And when you detach yourself from this right or wrong, it'll completely change everything for you. So at a big chunked up level, most people are not going to succeed. Specifically in this industry, we have these traditional ways, towards success, these traditional teachings. And the bottom line is most people are not succeeding with those traditional ways. Now, for the people who are using the traditional methods of success, and by that I mean specifically in this industry, putting your tangible goal on a goal poster, or having an affirmation that says, I am a national sales director, or I am a regional vice president, or I am this, or just writing the names down of the people that you're going to go after and really envisioning them in your business. None of those things are wrong, but that's also not right for everybody. That's my point. And so if you are following the sort of traditional methods of success and they're working for you, then please disregard everything I say as it pertains to you. Keep doing what's working for you. However, if you want to be an elite leader, you absolutely must have flexibility. You must understand that what works for you might not work for everybody else at a detailed level. Certain concepts are certainly going to be transcended. They're going to be across the board. You've got to talk to people. You've got to stay in action and so forth. So there are concepts that are going to be universal. But what I see is that when people get hung up on the details, this is the way you have to do it, or this is the way I have to do it. A lot of people don't give themselves permission to be flexible, even though they've been beating their head up against the same wall for 10 years. They think that's the only wall, that they've got to bump up against, right? They don't even give themselves permission to take a detour every now and then. So that's my thing about success. If traditional goal-setting methods are working for you, keep doing it, but you also have to understand that about 97% of the people, it's just not going to work for them. So you've got to have flexibility. We've got to redefine what success is. We've got to focus more on inspiration rather than motivation. And when you make the shift that we've already been talking about, and you're more focused on bringing things out of other people instead of giving them the right way to do things, then this will happen naturally. You don't even really have to change much if you have that curiosity leadership, if you have the ability to ask questions, because they are going to give you the answers. But when you say, this is the way to succeed, take a look at this on your goal poster, say this for your affirmations because this worked for me or this worked for somebody else that I heard about, that's where it all comes crashing down. So this is a little controversial, not in my intention of it, but the way that people receive it, I think, Margie, because, a lot of times people think I'm saying you can't be successful with a goal poster that has a Cadillac on it or that has $100,000 on it. That's not what I'm saying. But if you have a goal poster that you've been looking at for 5 years and you haven't gotten those goals, then something's wrong. You've got to change something. And there doesn't have to be, a bunch of emotional attachment to it. You just got to be flexible with it. And that's, again, what I think you're so brilliant at, is being flexible and just loving people individually. And do you agree with what I said, that when you have that flexible mentality, this flexibility just comes out, this individual approach takes care of pretty much all the problems. It's when you try to put things on other people and try to motivate them with the same things that motivated you, I think that's where all goes wrong.
I agree with you 1,000%. 1,000%, Sean. And so the way that you're going to 10 times your influence is with elite leadership. And time permitting, we could spend another hour on each one of these.
On every slide.
We're going to mention them quickly because, we want to be sure that we honor a time frame with you. You're going to 10 times your influence with empowerment, love, integrity, truth, and excellence. Personal excellence. When your ideas about your success are dependent on somebody else's actions, you will never be able to feel peace. Your personal excellence. So shall we rip through those for just a minute, the 5 proven principles? Sean, you want to take empowerment?
Absolutely. And, so that's really the essence of everything that we've been talking about. If we could bunch it together, these are the 5 principles that you just live by. Empowerment is all about empowering other people. We talked about not discouraging others or not disempowering others and always telling the bigger story. It's becoming the essence of empowerment. I really think that's it. It's not this win or loss scenario where somebody has to buy your products or join your business. It's what if we just decided that every step we take and every move we make is going to be under the spirit of empowerment and joy and happiness. And that's a way of life. That's not something that you do. It's not a piece of clothing that you put on. That's an essence, and that's an energy. And when you start from that place, that energy of empowerment, you've set the stage for everything else that's going to make your business run properly, and it's going to make your life better.
And the other piece I want to add to that is empowering yourself, because the conversation that you have between your ears about whether you're good or not, whether you're valuable or not, whether you deserve this or not, that's stopping you. That's stopping you. And so realize, you got to empower yourself and tell an empowering story about who you are to yourself. The next one is love. And, I mean, geez, doesn't this just say it all, really? Is there another purpose that we even breathe? Is there anything that you would more want to embody? Is there anything that would be more attractive to somebody than to be truly seen and cared for? Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And so truly just coming from a place of love. And love for yourself. I got to add that piece too. Right? Sometimes we find it easy to be really wonderful and expensive and supportive of the people around us, but we are horrible on ourselves.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that in with empowerment as well. I mean, if we do for others, but we're not able to fill our own cup, then we're ultimately at some point in time, it's going to feel hollow. And yeah, this, again, love is just a pre-decision. Can you love somebody even if they say no? Can you love the fact that you're alive even if your circumstances are not really what you want? And when you have that mentality, it's a lot easier to make the changes that you're wanting to make. But when you're irritated or you're hating or you're taking for granted everything around you and other people around you, it is incredibly difficult to make any changes. So I think inside of love is acceptance as well. And speaking of the internal game, integrity is such a powerful word for me. A lot of people, talk about integrity, but integrity is really, it's about what you're doing when nobody else is watching. I think that's a true measure of integrity. It's not about trying to impress other people, making other people think that, you have no problems in your life or whatever. And the definition of integrity is actually being whole. And so when we are really truly whole with ourselves and authentic, then we're living that integrity-filled life. We're truthful. We're honest with ourselves, with other people. You just can't go wrong.
And you already mentioned the next one, truth. It's, realize that you're building these relationships for a lifetime. I've got people on my team that I've been working with for 20, 22, 25 years, and when you tell the truth, even if it isn't the pretty, puffed up, fluffy, lovely version of what's happening, but you tell the truth as you see it, people really do know that they can trust you. And then when you do share the big, expansive thinking, they know that you can be trusted. You prove in a million ways that you're somebody who does what you say you're going to do, and when you say something, people can count on it. Not that you're the holder of all wisdom. You may make mistakes. You may say things that aren't completely accurate because you're not perfect, but your intention always is to be truthful and transparent. Now, that's the kind of person that somebody wants to link arms with for decades.
Love that. And the last letter here, E, excellence. I mean, that, I think we should replace the word perfection with excellence. We all have the ability to be excellent. I think nobody has the ability to be perfect. And when you strive for that to be just the way you live your life, can you be an excellent mother? Can you be an excellent father? Can you be an excellent friend? We can all be excellent, and excellent is not about comparing yourself to anybody else. Excellent is, again, about being a higher version of yourself or doing the best you can. If you can look yourself in the mirror and say you do the best you can, then you're living in excellence. And so when we take all of these together and we come from these core principles, then you can tack on all of the other things that are important in direct sales. It's just that those other things like recruiting and scripts and overcoming objections and what to wear and what to say and all these things, that's icing at best. But this is the cake, right? And too many people are just are searching for their answers and searching for the depth in the areas that at best are very shallow.
So what we want you to think about for just a second here, we're getting really, really close to the wrap, and we have something extremely special to share with you, but let's just pause for a second and think about what's possible for you. I'm looking at this slide, somebody whose team grew from 17 to 73, someone who's, and their personal production went from 3,600 to 10,000 a month, and just because they changed the way they thought about things, and, beautiful testimonials. But the real question is, what's possible for you? And what I want to share with you is that the journey might not be easy, but it will be worth it. I have an advantage because I've got 26 years in the game, and so I've got a little bit of perspective that I can share. I've got some hindsight. I remember the times of doubt. I remember the times of fatigue and wondering if I was doing the right thing and doubting myself. And I want to share one quick experience, and that is that I've built a really substantial business in Eurasia. And a couple of months ago, I was in Bulgaria, and I was looking out at this sea of faces, and it just packed auditorium. And I decided to just pause before I started speaking, and it was dead silent in the room. And I looked and I met a few people's eyes, the ones that were closer, and looked out at this giant group of people, and the thought crossed my mind, what if I'd quit? What if I'd quit? Later the following day, we had the big gala event, and it goes on and on and on, and it's all in Russian. And the highlight here for me was this: at about 1 o'clock in the morning, heaven knows how that everyone's still going at this hour. They invited the children of the distributors to come to the stage. 250 kids. Little ones, 2, 3, 4, 5, teenagers, 12, 13, 14, bigger kids, 21, 22, 24, piled onto the stage. And I just wept. Because what I didn't know 26 years ago, while I was motivated to create a better life for my kids who were 5, 4, and 2, who are now 31, 30, 28, and 21, that I would be able to have a ripple effect in this many kids' lives. And it goes on, and it goes on, and it goes on. So it is not easy, but it is worth it because there are people that are waiting for you. And it's your voice that they'll hear. There are others who can share the opportunity, but there's some who are waiting for you, and they're praying that you get this right and that you step out and speak your truth and live your excellence, and that you find them and share your gift.
Such a good story. Anytime that we really focus on what we can do for others, that inspiration and the strength and courage is so much bigger than when we focus on just what we can attain, or personal achievement or personal loss. So that is really, really cool. And I mean, it goes hand in hand with something that I've been focused on for the last few years. You mentioned my dad, who passed away from pancreatic cancer, and my mom died last year. I've just been really thinking about, what when we're all done on this, when our life is done, and we look back, how are we going to judge ourselves, right? Like, what lenses are we going to be looking through to know if we did a good job or not? And I firmly believe with the people that I've talked to, I had this conversation with my dad at the end of his life, and I've talked to so many other people in similar situations, and we're not going to look back and wonder if we got into the car or judge ourselves according to how many people we got on our team. All the things that most people are really focused on in their current reality, and it's creating this emotional up and emotional down. That's not what really matters anyway. And so we're living our lives based on things that are really unimportant in the grand scheme of things. So it won't matter if you got all those tangible goals, right? The question that you're going to judge yourself with is, did you go for it? Did you give it your best? Did you try? Did you jump? Did you swing the bat? And if you can look yourself in the eye and say, I went for it with everything I had and I didn't compromise, and I just showed up with who I was, I can promise you, you're going to feel a sense of satisfaction. You're going to feel a sense of peace. But if you watch opportunities go by and you don't take a shot, that's not going to sit well. And ultimately, I really, truly believe that that's how we're going to judge how we live.
I agree with you. Yep, I agree with you. Next slide.
So, yeah, I mean, we have a couple choices. You know, you can keep doing the things the same way. Most of us in this industry talk about the definition of insanity. Keep doing it the same way you've always done, and hope something will miraculously change. Keep fighting the same battles and trying to change other people. I mean, this is what most people are doing. Or you can change the game. You can rise up and step forward and stand out and be something more. You can roll your sleeves up. You can go for it, and you can live the life that you're meant to live. And I think that is a macro choice. That is a choice that you have got to live by one way or the other in everything that you do in your life. Now, the people who are more committed to just being comfortable or convenient are going to take the first road. It's just doing everything the same way, not really ever jumping in the water, and running from risk and just not having what they want in life. The people who are more committed to growth and to change and to challenge and to evolution, you're going to be willing to go for it. And it doesn't matter if you swing and miss. What matters is if you swing.
Absolutely. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love the story about your dad, Sean. Just inspires me so much. And at the end of the day, we just really need to look ourselves in the mirror and know that we showed up, that we played strong, that we did our best. And at the beginning of the webinar, we mentioned that we would be extending a special invitation for a few people who want to step forward and work with us more completely, more closely. We've put together something that is absolutely amazing. We have designed a program called the Elite Leaders 90-Day Blitz to Freedom. You'll see it on the slide there where you can go to enroll in this, and let us give you a little bit of an idea of what you're in for if you decide to join us on this 90-Day Blitz to Freedom. 90-Day Blitz to Freedom. Blitz2freedomnow.com is right where you're going to go if you're just listening and not actually viewing the webinar. And so you will be creating an amazing success in your life and your business in 90 days. The time and the financial freedom that you want to be, do, and live. You'll become a more powerful, purposeful, and persuasive leader. You'll create a foundation for consistent and constant growth. Let me just tell you this, that we are going to create some structure, accountability, linking arms, and team that is, you're not going to be able to fall through the cracks on this one. We're going to hold you accountable and hold you up so that you can make the first 90 days of the new year this change that you've been hoping for and wanting and wishing for a long time. We're going to do this thing together. Never again will you miss the opportunity to walk across the stage, and you'll be able to, greater still than that, watch your team members walk across the stage year after year while you cheer them on. And you're going to do all of this with joy and ease and happiness, and you'll also be able to create increased balance even as your business grows. This is our promise to you.
Love it. And just to be clear, this 90-day blitz is going to be a little bit of everything. We've been talking tonight mostly about the essence of leadership, but you're not just going to be able to walk around and stay in this state of empowerment and excellence and truth and integrity and love and just get things done. I mean, there's a groundedness that has to be there as well. So there will be nuts and bolts. We're going to talk about how do you structure out those 90 days and how can you help other people create these game plans. And so I want you to understand that this is both ends of the spectrum here. It's the core, it's the internal game, but it's also the the external game or the surface level game or the action that needs to take place for you to create something substantial and something really awesome in the first 90 days of next year. So the way that the program is going to work, it's going to be a 12-week program that Margie and I will co-lead together. It's going to be a live program. You'll get on the phone with us every single week. We are very, you can tell that we just want you to soak as much as you can out of the program, so we're available to answer questions as much as we can on those calls. You're going to have handouts. So again, this isn't just a bunch of conceptual stuff that we're going to throw at you. There's going to be exercises for you to do, for you to share with your team members. There's going to be a lot of grounded action plans to make this happen. We're also putting in Q&A calls dispersed inside the weeks so that we can make sure that you're able to implement as we go along. We don't want you to just go through the whole 12-week program and then you were missing something in week number 2 or week number 3, and then the rest of it just didn't really fit together. We want to make sure that every few steps we take, we're going to check in with you and see if there are any challenges, see if you have any questions, how you can implement it in your life, and so forth. One of the things that makes any group program work is support and community. So there's going to be a lot of platforms, specifically on Facebook and some other areas, where you're going to have the support from not only Margie and myself, but everybody in the community as well, everybody else that's on this journey with you. And it's something so powerful when people come together and just support each other. You're going to have access to all the archives, so you can re-listen to the calls, or if you can't make a certain call, you're going to be able to go back and listen to it or re-listen to it. And the whole focus is on implementation. We understand that information doesn't change lives. It certainly doesn't grow any businesses. You've got to implement what you're learning, and that's where we're coming from. That's our heart. We want to help you implement so that you can make next year the best year you've ever had, and it all starts with creating the foundation inside that first quarter. And this program starts on January 16th, so we don't want to throw you into a bunch of information during the holidays and overwhelm you and stuff like that. We are going to do an extra call. We'll tell you about that in a moment. But once the new year comes, we're going to really hit it hard on January 16th. So that's the layout of the program. We've got some bonuses that I think are going to blow you away. Margie, do you want me to go through the bonuses, or do you want to go through those?
Yeah. Why don't you mention about Eagles Club, and then I can mention some of the others. You can just explain
Awesome.
it probably better than I can.
Yeah, the Eagles Club is something that I've been doing for a long time, and it's a monthly empowerment club where we do phone calls every month, and you get CDs sent to you every month. And Margie and I are now coming together, and we're going to do this monthly empowerment club together. And one of the bonuses you'll have in the 90-Day Blitz is you'll get this Eagles Club Empowerment monthly program for free for 6 months, so that will even extend beyond the 4 months that you're in our program. So that's the first bonus.
And then a private coaching session with an MVP certified coach. And when you, I'm pretty blown away that this is really designed as a community support program and elite group, and to be able to also get some private coaching is a real gift, because you might, when we're moving fast together, come up against some stuff that you really want to work through, and so you'll get that one-on-one attention in addition to the question and answer calls that you have with Sean and I. We're also going to create a resource list for you. We know the best of the best in the business, and so we're going to open our Rolodex as you need people that can help you specifically with time management or organization or social media or how to say the right words, how to language this or that. This is really the nuts and bolts. We're going to help you and bring you the best of the best. Also, and this is so big, you're going to get 2 free tickets to our live event, Elite Leadership Live, in sunny California, April 25th through 27th. This is a live event with Sean and I, and you have 2 years to attend. If those dates don't work for you, don't worry. There will be others. People who attended the live event that Sean and I did in April have had profound results in their business, and even more, they have had profound results in their lives. I didn't think that I could even manage the 5 days, 5 nights myself, and I was so enwrapped in the process because of what I saw happening inside of people and for people, and then the results that have sustained through the months. The opportunity to be together, all together, face-to-face, in that forum, an amazing add-on.
There's nothing like a live event. So, we can teach you everything that we're going to teach you throughout the program, but there's something different when we get together for 2.5 days and really go deeper and create the awareness in your body, or get rid of any of the energy blocks that really require a more immersed environment. So this is the thing that Margie and I have been talking about for a long, long time, and we're giving it away as a bonus for you when you enroll in this 90-day Blitz to Freedom. It's just going to bring everything together. So once we get you where you want to be foundationally in the first quarter of the business, wait till we get you that live event. You can't even fathom where you're going to be at that point, and where you can go from that point going forward. It's like kicking it into a whole nother gear. And as Margie said, you've got 2 years. You've got 2 tickets, first of all. You've got 2 years to attend if this particular date doesn't work for you. We're just so thrilled. I can't wait to get back in the room. The total value for all these bonuses is well over $2,000, and that's just for the bonus package. But we've also got some FAT bonuses, which stands for Fast Action Taker. Not trying to be insensitive here, but we really
like to. Yes, we like to reward fast action. And I've got to say that we're getting, when Sean and I were reviewing these slides a little bit earlier, this is how to recruit during the holidays. That's a valuable call. That's something we just threw in as an additional bonus, and it's only available for those who purchase before December 16th. And then I saw this. For the first 7 people, you get a private coaching call with Sean. I said to him at this point, Sean, what did we agree to give this program for? Like, this is really incredible. And for the first 50 people that enroll, Eagles Club for 1 year instead of just the 6 months.
So hopefully you can see that we are trying to make this easy to do. We're trying to make this a no-brainer. We're trying to make this totally irresistible. And, something I don't even have on the slide here, Margie, is more details. You can go to blitztofreedomnow.com, and a lot of people at this point will go, what's the price, right? And the real question should not be, what is the cost of taking action? It's not about how much money do I need to put out, or how much time do I need to put in, how much energy do I need to give off, although that's the way that mediocrity makes its decisions. The way that mediocrity is created is by always looking at the cost of taking action. The way that wealth and empowerment is created is by asking a different question. And this question is, what's the cost of not taking action? So many people are afraid to invest money or time or energy, but by not investing money or time or energy, they're staying stuck in the very place that they're dying to get away from. So that's how I want you to really take a look at not just this opportunity, but any opportunity. What is the cost of not taking action? And you can take a look at it from a perspective like Margie shared. What if she would have quit 25 years ago, 26 years ago? How many of those kids that were just on stage in Russia and Bulgaria, how many of those kids would be living different lives now? How many of those kids' parents would be totally different? Maybe they would still be miserable. But because one woman 2.5 decades ago kept going, lives were transformed. So I want you to really think about, what is the cost of actually staying where you are? And having said that, actually before I'll I'll explain, what the price is, and we've even got a payment plan.
I think you should tell them the price, because the way you're setting it up, it makes it sound like it's going to be something really expensive, and I want everybody to know how really manageable. We created a price point so that everybody could say yes, because we want to do this 90-day blitz with you. We want transformation. We want to see it. We want to be a part of it. You showed up. You put your hand up. Busy time during the holidays. You're here. We wanted to make it easy for everyone to say yes. So tell them about it, Sean.
Absolutely.
You're like making it sound like it's going to be really expensive.
No, absolutely. So I have priced this at $297. And if that's too much during the holidays or for whatever reason, we've also got a payment plan on it. And the payment plan is 4 payments of only $87. And so you can get started in this program. And for any of you that take action fast, I don't know. I'll check here in a moment if I can. I don't know if those first 7 spots have already been taken or what. But, you can get a private call with me. You can get the double Eagle Club bonus.
Unbelievable.
That's
worth the whole price right there, Sean. That's so generous of you.
It really, truly is, because, the billable hours is about $500 for me. But we want to incentivize the people that are willing to take action. And hopefully, if this is speaking to you, if it's right for you or not. If it's right for you, just do it. Don't try to justify it. Just do it. If it's right for you, do it. If it's not right for you, if you're not getting that feeling inside that you really want to be a part of this, then don't do it. It doesn't have to be any more difficult than that. Just follow your heart, whatever it is that you're being led to do. Do. So if you are inclined, if you're foaming at the mouth, you want to be a part of this, if you want to spend a lot more time with somebody like Margie, who has done the things she's done in this industry that are just mind-blowing, and, I've spent a lot of time helping people get over some of the internal blocks, and, the two of us together, we make a pretty good team of what we can do, and, if we can't help you make back $300 over the course of 12 weeks and a live event, we should be fired on the spot.
Right? As you're listening, if it's your time, you just do. If you're feeling that call, and whether or not we're the right mentors for you, it really is just that simple. So if you want to get your hands on this recording to share it with your team, please know that you can. I wonder if anyone's been to the website and enrolled. If you want to just send us over a little note. Yep, I'm in. And as we're just kind of wrapping up here and asking questions, it'd be fun to see those who are putting their hand up first. So if you want to get tonight's recording, email Sean at info@CoachSean, S-E-A-N, Smith.com. And in the subject line, put Elite Leaders Webinar Recording, please, and we'll make sure that you get the link so that you can share it with the team. We hope that there's been something that has just lit you up, and a piece of information, one good piece of information can change your life when you're ready, if you make the decision and you move into action. We have every confidence that you will, and I think now we'll open the lines. I know we're way over time, but do you want to take a few questions, Sean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess we can't open the lines. I guess you just look at the questions that have come over in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, and in order
I've lost you. Are you there, Sean?